Welcome to the third part of the second module. In this part, we will see the DFA minimization. That is, minimizing a DFA means minimizing the number of states of the DFA. So, how do you minimize or lessen the number of states of the DFAs? We'll try to find the redundant states, and the resulting DFA will have unique states. So, we have an algorithm which is from the Myhill-Nerotz theorem, and we'll see an example. This algorithm is based on Myhill-Nerotz theorem. It works on the principle of equate and collapse states having same behavior. That is, we build equivalence relation on pair of states. For example, we take two pairs P and Q. They are equivalent for all Z element of sigma star. Delta P Z and delta Q Z will result in either a final state or a non-final state. This algorithm is implemented in the form of a table filling method. We build table to compare each unordered pair of distinct states P and Q. We mark a table entry to whether to say it is not equivalent, and finally we have a list of entries which record the dependencies. Let us see how the algorithm works. The step 1 for the algorithm is it initializes all entries in the table as unmarked, that is with no dependency. In the second step, we have to mark all pairs of a final and a non-final state. In the third step, that is the iterative step, for each unmarked pair PQ, say PQ, for a particular input symbol, we have to find the transitions. So let the transitions be marked as R and S. If R and S is unmarked, add PQ to RS dependency. Otherwise, mark PQ and recursively mark all dependencies of the newly marked entries. So once this process is complete, we move to the fourth step where we collapse unmarked pairs of states. That is, merge unmarked pairs of state. And the fifth or the last step is delete the inaccessible states. So let us look at an example. We have a DFA which consists of 8 states, of which C is the final state. So this is how the table is built. We have the initial table which looks like this in the slide, and all entries are unmarked, that is, we are having an empty list. We move to the second step wherein which we mark all pairs which are a combination of final and non-final states. So here C is the final state. All combinations with C is marked. Now moving to the third step, we have to take each pair. So let us take the pair called BA. We have to look at the transitions for BA pair for the symbol A. For the symbol 0. Now we also have to look at for the transitions for symbol 1 for BA pair. Transitions result in a combination of GB, which is an unmarked pair, and CF, which is a marked pair. So as CF is a marked pair, we will also mark BA. We look at the pair called DA. After examining the transitions at DA, we will also mark DA. Next, we check the pair called EA. So again, we look at the transitions of what happens for the pair EA when it encounters the symbol 0, what happens for the pair EA when it encounters. The transitions for the pair EA results in HB combination and FF. HB is an unmarked pair and FF is not coming into the scenario. So that means EA will remain unmarked. We continue the process with other pairs as well. After completing the iteration, we have to check for the dependencies once again. This process has to be continued until we cannot merge any of these. This is the final iteration where we have only 3 unmarked pairs. So as we have finished step 3 of the algorithm, we move to the fourth step, which is where we coalesce the unmarked pairs of states. So we see the unmarked pairs are AE, BH and DF. So those are the equivalencies. You can see in the diagram, we are merging all these pairs and writing it as a single state. Step of the algorithm is to delete unreachable states. In this given example, we doesn't have any unreachable states, hence we don't do any deletion. Before we conclude this, a small note on DFA minimization. See, the order of selecting the state pairs is arbitrary. All ordering of pairs will give us the same ultimate results, but may record more or fewer dependencies. So it will take a order of n square time to finish off this. There are more types of methods proposed by Huffman, Moore, Hopcroft, etc. We have learned only one method, that is using Myhill-Néron's theorem. Note on, see, while the new DFA is no longer than old DFA is, we have removed the states. We have never introduced new states. So obviously our new DFA will be smaller than the old DFA. And why is the new DFA equivalent to old DFA? What we have done is, we have identified states that have the same behavior, that have the redundant behavior. So by inductions we have derived all these redundant pairs and has merged them. So the new DFA is always equivalent to the old DFA. Now let us see finite automator with output. There are finite automators that have outputs corresponding to each transition. Here we have to study two types of finite state machines that generate output. They are Mealy machine and Moore machine. What is a Mealy machine? A Mealy machine is a finite state machine whose output depends on the present state as well as the present input. It can be described by a 6 tuple. In addition to Q, sigma, delta, Q0, we have X and O. So what is X and O? O is a finite set of symbols called the output alphabet, and X is the output transition of Q cross sigma giving O. This slide represents the state table of the Mealy machine. That is, for each input symbol we will have a state and an output for a corresponding input symbol. This is the state diagram for the Mealy machine. Let us see what is a Moore machine. A Moore machine is a finite state machine whose outputs depends only on the present state. It is also defined by a 6 tuple, wherein which you have O and X as a Mealy machine, where O is a finite set of symbols called the output alphabet and X is the output transition from Q to O. This is the state table of the Moore machine. So it is depending only on the state. We have this is the state diagram of the Moore machine. Now let us see how a Moore machine is converted to a Mealy machine. That is, the input is a Moore machine and the output is a Mealy machine. On the step 1, we have a blank Mealy machine transition table format. And step 2, what we do is we copy all the Moore machine transition states into this table format. We check the present states and their corresponding outputs in the Moore machine state table. If for a state Qi the output is M, copy it into the output columns of the Mealy machine state table wherever Qi appears in the next state. Example of a Moore machine table. So in step 1 we make a format for the Mealy machine format table, then we copy down all the states and then the outputs are copied to the corresponding states. That is, if D has an output 1, it is marked for both the inputs A equals 0 and A equals 1. Similarly, if A has an output 1, it is marked for both A equals 0 and A equals 1. Now let us look at the vice versa condition, wherein which you have a Mealy machine to a Moore machine. That is, the input is a Mealy machine and you have the output as the Moore machine. So what we have over here as step 1 is we calculate the number of different outputs for each state that are available in the state table of the Mealy machine. If all the outputs of the Qi are same, copy to state. If it has n distinct outputs, break Qi into n states as Qin. If the output of the initial state is 1, then you insert a new initial state at the beginning which gives 0 as output. Now this is an example of the Mealy machine. So for situations where we have only one form of output, we copy down the state as such. So where we have two distinct outputs, we will separate the states. For example, you can say B0, B1, C0, C1, whereas for A and D they remain intact. Thus, we reach the end of the second module. Thank you all.